Hello there, Together Learners. Eric back again. How often are you reading something? I'm not saying like reading a book or a magazine or an article, but how often do you propose that you're actually reading words on a menu, on a sign, on a label, on a screen, on subtitles when you're watching Netflix? All of that stuff is part of what we're trying to do in this course and talk about all the times that you're out there getting information from a screen. And that is in the realm of digital publishing, whether that be publishing a book to be printed, or an ebook to be read on a tablet, or a poster to be put out on to advertise for a concert, or a label for that shampoo that's in your shower, right? All of these things are connected to the world of digital publishing. And in this video, we're going to talk about this world of digital publishing, why it might be a useful thing to know about, what skills you might want to hone and improve to be good or competent in this space, what kind of careers might be available to you if you are in this field of digital publishing, or even if you're not, you have your own career in different related fields, and having some of these skills, how they might benefit you, or how you might develop some skills, develop your own career around being able to put information out in the world in print and digital means to get information out. So, the world of digital publishing coming up in this video. All right, digital publishing. Like I said, reading something anywhere and everywhere is connected in some way to the digital publishing field or concept. And if you're interested in these types of things, this is a part of a series, a course, and other learning games and things available at togetherlearning.com. This particular course that this is connected to is called Digital Design and Publishing. No more, go to togetherlearning.com. I'm Eric. So first question is, if there's something that you read recently or something that you thought about might be good to put out in the world, or it's like, oh, I wish there was a guide about this, or I wish there was information or a book or a sign in a particular area of town. I wish my label of my shampoo had this extra information on it. Think about what might be good to put out in the world, or what would you like to be seen out in the world as far as information, printed information, or information that's been able to be read digitally in even a game or a board game and things like that. So this question is a good way to start thinking about your relationship to the digital publishing realm or career. And if you can answer this question pretty easily, you might have an interest in this field, or you might be compelled or have some good ideas that might make yourself valuable in this particular field. For myself, for example, I love this field because it allows me to express myself in ways that are different and unique. I've made board games, I've made websites, I've made digital games, I've made graphic designs for posters and comic books and all types of stuff. And all of that stuff is different ways of expressing yourself, putting yourself out there in the world. But if you're running a business, if you're a marketer, if you're somebody that's campaigning to change the world and get information out, important information out, for example, about climate change or inequality, example, being able to have these skills and convey your information that's readable, that's interesting, that's good to look at, and people want to share it, goes a long way into helping you communicate your ideas. And so, what would you produce? What would you make if you had the utmost and greatest digital publishing skills? And if you can answer that, perhaps you'll want to continue your skilling in this area. But if you were to do that skill up for digital publishing, what kind of skills would you need? And why are these skills useful for you, and not just putting things out in the world, but for your own personal development, for your own professional development? So the first is the idea of self-publishing, right? So just like these days, like possibly you're seeing this video on a platform like YouTube or something like that, we're able to be our own, movie studio these days. Our phones in our pockets have given us great ability to put ourselves out in the world and be our own publishers. Print and reading things is no different. And we can all make a website and put it out into the world. We can all now make a book, typeset that book, format that book, and self-publish it more easier than ever, more cheaply than ever. And so it's easier now to take your ideas and put them out into the world. And that means more people are doing it. And that also means if you have better skills in understanding how to convey your ideas, that's more aesthetically pleasing, more easier to read, has a little bit of unique and interesting design related to it, your ideas might pop out of that sea of information a little bit better. Okay, so publishing is not just digital, but it's also analog. It's one of the few kind of things that we can use our skills for anything that we print, like we hold a book that's considered analog, or we see a poster on a wall or a billboard on the street. A lot of those same design and graphic ideas and skills, things like typography and color theory, are also useful in digital means. Sometimes they're a little bit different and they have different kind of concepts or priorities related to which one you're going to do. But they combine into something that's useful in both areas. So if you know about one, those skills are useful in the other. And so when it's one of the few things as far as like digital skills that has things that you can make for the real world and have something tangible that's being able to be put out in the world in both online means and physical in your hand. Across different mediums. It's also interesting field as though it's connected to almost anything where information is given and taken, right? From flyers for advertising, for labeling products in a grocery store, to putting together a nice website that has different content that displays things in a specific way. There's different ways information is given and taken, and if you have digital publishing skills, you're able to convey information in all of those avenues a little bit better. Accessibility, right? Sometimes people don't look at screens. Some people only look at screens. Sometimes people need different ways to gather information, to look at information, and having and understanding these skills allows you to use all of those different ways to get information out there so it's accessible to more people. And finally, if you're any type of content creator, and we all are these days more and more, whether you're working at a company or you're trying to market your own side business, or you're a student that's wanting to get your project seen by more people so you can get more people involved, we need to be able to put things out in the world that's accessible and unique and interesting, and having some publishing skills will help you do that. So I hope I've tried to lay out the why of this course, the why of studying digital publishing, and how it might be useful to you. So thinking about self-publishing, why would you want to do that, right? You can go to a publishing company and have them do it for you. You can go to a friend that's good at making websites and have them make a website for you. Why do we need to learn these skills for ourselves? And sometimes that's a good argument, because if you're only doing things once or twice, or you don't have an interest in, perhaps you don't have a great idea, maybe you don't necessarily want to self-publish things. Maybe you're quite content in keeping your ideas to yourself, right? That's fine, that's great. But self-publishing over perhaps going through a company or going through a freelancer or a friend to do it for you has advantages, right? Being your own publisher, or being the publisher for your company, or being able to do all of these things for a group of people has its advantages, right? You have creative control over things. You have your ideas, and you're able to take your own ideas and put them into practice. You can put things out faster. Publishing companies have usually a lot of people working on things, and to make them go faster might cost you more money. It might have a give and take. You have to communicate your ideas to that person and make them understand them and they might come back with something that's not quite what you envisioned, and you have to do revisions and revisions. Doing it yourself, putting it out yourself is a lot faster. And if you're publishing through a company, a lot of times they will, if you're an author, for example, you write novels. And a company will usually pay an author quite a lot of money up front to write a book, so they'll have some time, but they're actually kind of betting on you. So after that, when they start to sell a lot of copies, they will take the vast majority of those profits because of the agreement that you made with that publisher, right? The same is true with recording artists, right? A lot of times they'll get a payment up front, but it's later when that artist becomes really popular and starts selling or having streams that are going all across the world, and they're getting lots of royalties, that the person that writes it or makes that product or service or wrote that novel or made that music gets less as far as royalties. So if you self-publish, most often you're going to see a higher percentage of that. If you're going for a specific group of people that's underserved, which in this world, in this day and age, is pretty much the way to go, right? A lot of people are generalizing in certain information, but if you know a specific audience, a specific group of people, you know a community, and you know that they need some information, if you're able to self-publish, a big publishing company might not be interested in taking that on because they know the audience is not quite big enough to reap those benefits into investing in it. But if you do it yourself, you keep the costs low, you'll reach those niche markets and find your audience better. Global reach. This will help you increase your global reach. Not necessarily a publishing company will probably be better at initially getting your word out there because they have marketing channels and they have distribution channels where they can send your books. Maybe if you're an author, for example, they have relationships with bookstores and things like that. But if you just want to get your idea out there and increase your personal reach, maybe starting off with a self-publishing route is a good way to start before you get that big publishing contract with that company. And of course, going back to niche markets, you can start to build communities of practice, and then around that, start to make your own identity in the world, right? You have your voice, you have who you are, and you can represent that in the best possible light if you're able to self-publish your works through books, magazines. Again, there's so many different things that you can do with publishing websites, for example. Right? So these are some reasons why you might want to be able to put your stuff out there in the world by yourself. That's what we're going to learn in this course. So if you want to put your stuff out there through these publishing, self-publishing mechanisms, what kind of skills do you need to hone, to improve? And these are the skills that we're going to try our best to level up as we go through this particular course that I'm trying to introduce with this video. Right? Digital publishing. First of all, the most kind of baseline thing is the idea of storytelling, right? When you want to, storytelling is not just about telling a piece of fiction or telling a story with characters and worlds that you're building. Sometimes that's true, and if you are good at that, that is fantastic. But everything comes back to storytelling. That label on your shampoo bottle, oddly enough, if you have some storytelling skills, you can convey why the shampoo and how to use the shampoo much better if you have a flair for expressing human stories, right? So we're going to think a little bit about storytelling in this course. Graphic design, of course, thinking about the layouts of pages and other types of things about communicating with images, how you're communicating with different patterns and photos and videos, and what you're communicating as you give those things and the designs in your pages also is very important. Project management. It's not necessarily a focus of this course, but the digital publishing process is quite involved. There's quite a bit of number of steps that are involved with it, right? From ideating, coming up with an idea, to writing, to editing, to rewriting, to proofreading, to formatting, and then to publishing, and then to distributing, or perhaps marketing is somewhere in there as well. There's a whole lot of different kind of steps that you might take in the path to self-publishing, for example, a novel or a comic book. And being able to have some project management ideas or skills will go a long way to help you with that process of publishing. Marketing and distribution is one of those, but these kind of gonna have a synergy, right? If you're a good publisher, you have some graphic design skills, you have some storytelling skills, people were willing to be sold on what you want to say, but you also need to get your word out there. So there's a synergy involved with that, right? So marketing, digital publishing usually go hand in hand. If you're a good digital publisher, sometimes you'll find work at a marketing firm, or if you're a marketer, they'll look for talented digital publishers because they want to hone and use their skills to bring more eyeballs to what they're doing. Of course, technology tools in this course will all things digital these days. Sometimes when we think about digital publishing, you think about a printed book, but also we're talking about ebooks and all the different software and hardware and internet distribution platforms that go into that. You need to know a little bit about, and it takes a little bit of kind of a learning curve to get yourself used to, or at least familiar with some of these tools. Photography, videography, a lot of days print materials, not just print materials, connected to other things like on social media and other things. And so having some new media skills goes a long way. That also comes down to accessibility and user interface and user experience design. And that goes to things like game design and gamification and understanding the user journey as they interact with your things. A lot of times, even digital media, for example, websites, aren't just reading, you're actually clicking on things. And even print materials, which we'll learn in this course now that we have this new layer of augmented reality, are interactable. So your print book needs to have sometimes in the future, and even now, some sort of interactivity. So some user journey experience, understanding the experience creation aspect of it can go a long way. Last but not least, as we move to the future, I gave a hint at augmented reality, but it's also things like virtual reality, 3D modeling, digital twins, 3D printing. All of these things coming around the corner are now coming into as trends moving towards the future in the digital publishing space, and just being aware of them and to help you be future ready, to help you kind of bring in some new and novel ideas and see what's coming around the corner is very helpful, I think, as well. So these are some of the skills that we're going to try and at least introduce you to and level up as we go through this course, and you can start to understand how these skills might benefit you in other ways, I hope, in your studies or in your field, in your career. So speaking of careers, what kind of careers, if you're just a digital publisher, if you are adept at creating graphic designs, print materials, digital materials to convey information, what kind of careers might you do? So we have all the different steps along that process that I talked about for project management, going through from idea to putting something out into the world, right? So we have editors, designers, production specialists, marketers, technologists that know the tools and how to use those tools, authors, of course, wordsmiths that know how to put words together in certain ways, and researchers that know how to find the information from which to base that factual stuff on, or to look at other things. So researchers are also in this world as far as legal stuff goes, finding things that are on the internet that are similar, things like copyright and things like that as well. And entrepreneurship. If you're out in the world making your own business, trying to make your own way, this is just one of those skills among all the other skills that entrepreneurs need to be able to convey what they're selling, their service, their business, their platform, their product, and be able to put it out in the world by themselves, by self-publishing, right, goes with that kind of lifestyle, right? If you're an entrepreneur, having some digital publishing skills, I think, can go a long way. These are just some of the careers that are tangentially related to digital publishing. There are a whole lot more. Right, so in this course, we're going to talk a little bit about the history, but it helps us to design things to know why they are the way they are, and the history of printing things, the history of distributing print information, and especially from going from things like print scrolls to newspapers to websites to now augmented reality, and now the publishing world that is blending all of this stuff together, has a bit of a timeline. And there are some crucial moments that we want to explain, because having a bit of context to the digital publishing world can go a long way to help you understand and be better and skill up, right? So we don't make some mistakes, and to understand why things are the way they are. Why do we have fonts that look the way they do? That's because we had technologies that kind of made these kind of decisions way before. And even though we're using completely different technology, we brought those along with us. And so to have a little bit of understanding about the timeline of technologies, the timeline of people that are involved in this industry, and the steps, the evolutions that we've come to get here, we're going to try and convey in this course as well. All right, so we talked about a lot of things. This is kind of condensing it all into one place for us, right? So if you want to become a competent digital publisher, and we want you to at least understand how to get there through this introductory course, you're going to know to be a good writer and to be able to edit other people's words, including your own, for digital formats, and taking that digital format and being able to print it. How to design and lay out your ideas, and you communicate your thoughts, whether that be with words or with graphics or with perhaps a digital layout that you'll then convert to be able to print. The technical skills required to understand how to change, adapt, and design those designs and write those layouts. That could be things using like a graphical design tool, or they could be a distribution tool or platformer software. There's a lot of technical skills and tools that we can use. And if you're going to be a competent digital publisher, you're going to know a variety of these tools. Talking about user experience and accessibility, how the user, how the reader is feeling, how they're consuming your information, how you're communicating through this medium, whether it be a book or a website or a poster, how you're communicating through that medium and what they're feeling, what they're experiencing is key. It's heart, it's fundamental to being a competent digital publisher. Marketing and analytics I talked about, legal and ethical considerations, of course, are always with every field, and knowing a little bit about where this field, where this profession is going towards the future will help you kind of set a path, understand where it's going, so you can prepare yourself for the future as well. So all of these things we're going to talk a little bit about in this course as well. All right, I'm Eric. This has been an introduction to digital publishing. I hope you're going to enjoy this course, and we look forward to getting to know you and the rest of you and our awesome projects that we're going to be introducing to you in this course as we learn to put into practice what we've learned about digital publishing. All right, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.